This is Poltergate from Denise, a very flexible gate that allows you to really dial in just exactly what you want to gate off. There's also some tone shaping features in here. So let's go ahead and check it out real quick. One of the things that you use a gate for all the time is to clean up drum tracks. So in this kick track, you can hear some cymbals and some snare in the background. We can clean it up real quick here with Poltergate. So let me turn it on. First thing we'll do is set the threshold for our gate to open up. You can set the return or when the gate opens and when the gate closes. That's pretty good already. But Poltergate is a little bit different in that it really lets us dial in exactly what is going to trigger our gate. So let's click our audition button there. And we can hear what's going to trigger that on this internal sidechain here. I can dial out. So this snare hits there. I use my spike to increase those transients. And this doesn't get passed on to the output. It's just for the internal sidechain there. All right. So pretty much got it there. Then we can use our attack and the hold time. So pull that down here. Pull my release. You can also set your release to the host tempo as well. Sync it to your host tempo. You can look ahead and open the gate a little bit before it would be triggered, right? Head over to your D bleed, turn that on, and dial out a little more of that top end here, or low end if you need to. Head over to the dynamics section. I'm gonna add some punch to that, or maybe even some fat or sustain. Of course, head back in there, dial this in exactly the way we need it to be set up. There we go. So dial all of that extra noise out. So that way, whenever you go to compress this or use other effects on it, you're only affecting the sound of the kick and you're not bringing up all of those background noises. Of course, you can do the same thing on your snare. A lot of noise in there. You clean all that up, right? Bring it all together, add in your other plugins. And that way, again, you're only affecting the sound of the snare, the sound of the kick, etc., etc. There we go. That kick sounds much more powerful, and so does the snare, because we have added some punch on each of those. What about on vocals?
You got me so caught up inside this moment with you.
So there is some breaths in here.
With you,
So we can dial that out with our gate. Again, set up your threshold, dial in your graph, use some D bleed if you need to.
With you, I'm in this mindset that is.
There we go. Now in this case, I'm not really crushing those breaths. A little bit ahead.
With you, I'm in.
Go back to D bleed.
With you, I'm.
A little more.
With you, I'm in this.
There we go. So now we have really reduced that breath, or these breaths here.
With you, I'm in this mindset that there's nothing.
Versus.
With you, I'm in this mindset that
they're so loud that they really take away from the song. So real quick there, set that up with Poltergate and of course gate off those breaths as well. But let's move on to something a little more interesting that we could do with our gates now. So in this case, what I want to do is I want to use this kick to trigger the bass or to open the gate and have the bass sound come through. I don't want the bass playing the entire time, just whenever the kick hits. So I have Poltergate on the bass track, and then I'll come in and turn on my sidechain, and this will depend on your DAW. We're in Studio One, so make sure I select the proper track, which is this track here. Now you can tell that this drum track has snaps and claps and other things. I just want to trigger the bass. I just want the gate to open whenever the kicks hit. So of course, dialing your threshold there. Let me head over to audition the sound. Dial in my graph. Don't want all those sounds. Pull that spike up there. Just my threshold. There we go. Just your hold time. Need to hold that longer. Okay. Same thing for your release. A little bit of an ahead, look ahead there. There we go, pretty cool. So if I bypass it, just playing all the time. Very basic sounding, right? Turn Poltergate back on. So every time that kick hits, and only when the kick hits, the bass plays. All right, cool. Let's move on to another example here. So what I want to do here is first I want to simplify this percussion track. I'm going to use Poltergate for that. I already have it set up. So what I'm doing here, just again simplifying it. Set my threshold. There we go. Now we're also going to use Poltergate, of course another instance of Poltergate, on this bass track and do kind of like we did just a minute ago with the other bass track and have the kick actually trigger the gate. But this time we're going to reverse it, okay? So check this out here. Again, I'll set up my sidechain. Again, Poltergate is on the bass track here, okay? Set up my sidechain, turn it on here. Choose my track, which I have already done. Make sure it's turned on here in Studio One. And I'm going to have this kick trigger Poltergate on this bass track. Turn it on. Set your threshold. Listen to just that signal. Okay, don't really need to do a bunch of dialing in here since it's just the kick track. Okay, but right now, of course, the gate is opening every time the kick hits, right? Right, and then you're hearing the bass when the kick hits. I want to reverse that. So just hit this button right there. Boom, and now we get a really cool effect. A nice pumping sound, right? So we're reversing that instead of locking it with the kick. It's the reverse. Of course, adjust anything that you want to. Don't want that hold up there. And there we go. Bring in our simplified percussion track. Then you could automate maybe your percussion here. Pull your floor up so there. Whenever you pull your floor all the way up to 0 dB, it's not gating anything off. So you could automate that. It's more complicated of a rhythm, and pull it down. Gate things off. All right, so there's a lot more you can do in Poltergate. You can solo each of your bands here, for example, just by choosing solo. Let me help you dial things in. You can change the node types up here as well. And there are also presets included to get you started, fully resizable interface. And if you want to go in depth to each of these different controls, head right over here to denise.io and they will walk you through literally every single control in a bunch of different videos. Okay. You can also pick it up over here at denise.io, or you can head over to Plugin Boutique if you prefer to shop there. All right. This is a very flexible gate for all of your basic utility needs for a gate, but also for creative purposes. All right. So once again, that is Denise Poltergate.